Hey guys, my guest tonight is Pastor Paul Begley, who's going to be talking about Bible prophecy. See you in 5 minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing? I heard that. Good. I'm glad everybody's in a good mood today. We got a great show. Interesting show tonight. Good guest. My name is Charlotte. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. And I'm also the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento, California. We are 45 members strong, which means no matter where you are in California, my hat is crooked. Look at that. It's always crooked. Maybe my head's crooked. Anyway, no matter where you are in California, we can always get to you and find you. We'll find you. Even if it takes a couple hours, we will get to you. Also, if you do think you have a paranormal issue and you live in the state of Hawaii, Nevada, my mind's like jello tonight. Hawaii, Nevada, Washington, or Oregon, there we go. We also have people available in those areas as well. Anyhow, if you're watching from Facebook tonight and you like what you see, please feel free to hit that like and follow button because we're looking for followers. We're looking to build ourselves up. Just like with YouTube, same issue. If you like what you see, while we're on the air, be sure to leave a comment and hit that like button and subscribe. There's a little ghost in the bottom right-hand corner that you can click on that'll subscribe you right away and all that good stuff. You can also find me on Instagram under Ghosty Gal, all lowercase, and you can follow me over there as well because I have some, cool stuff that I'm posting over there. We also have a TikTok, which is just California Haunts, all one word, all lowercase. Check out our TikTok. I've got some interesting things over there that I don't do over here. I don't do on Facebook and all that. So you should check that out as well. Anyway, tonight's guest, Pastor Paul Begley. I used to watch him late at night because I was up late. I've always been a night owl, and I had DirecTV for a long time. And they would replay these shows, and I would happen to come across his show late in the evening. And so I remember watching him, and when I heard him on another show, I just had to get him on here because he has some very, very interesting things to say about what's going on currently and what's going to happen in the future. And it's all based on Bible prophecy. So let me bring him in, and we can go from there. Good evening.
Good evening, Charlotte. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Doing great this evening.
I'm honored to have you, sir.
It's great to be here. It really is.
Tell me about you.
Tell me about me. Well, I'm I grew up in a small town, North Judson, Indiana, in the cornfields of Indiana. Married my high school sweetheart. Played high school basketball in Indiana, which was always awesome. If you've seen the movie Hoosiers, you would know it's. For instance, I grew up in a town of 1,500 people, but the gym would seat 3,500 and would be packed for the games. So that was the era of that time. Ministry almost 40 years, 38 years, and been on YouTube. Started doing internet broadcasting 13 years ago, and been doing television for about the last 7 years. So. And I've pastored and evangelized and traveled all over the world, really. So, yeah, I've had a fun, unique life. I've got 3 sons and 7 grandchildren. So I'm pretty blessed, pretty happy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And your father's a pastor, right?
My father's a pastor. He's been preaching 50 some years. And actually, he and my mother now live with me. My dad's 86 and my mom's 79, but has Parkinson's. So they live with us now. But my dad still preaches on Sunday mornings, at his church. He's still
Well, I admire you because I took care of both of my parents.
Yes.
Until their deaths, you know what? And people don't realize this, and sometimes I get irritated with people for dumping them off at homes, because my mom and dad gave me everything.
Right.
They took care of me, and so when they got old, it was my turn to take care of them, and that's how I felt about it.
That's exactly right. And the Bible tells us that if we honor our mother and father, we will have long life on the earth.
See?
So that's just an extra benefit there for that.
That's it. That is. So tell me about, I was looking at your website, and you talk about the coming apocalypse. Is there stuff going on now that's kind of leading into that?
A ton of things. Okay. we call it in prophecy, we call it birthing pains of the end of the age, okay, the beginning of a new age, which would be the return of Christ. And but in this process, before the second coming, there would be all kinds of apocalyptic events on the earth, in the heavens. Like, for instance, there would be signs, it says, in the sun, the moon, the stars, and distress of nations with perplexity. The sea and the waves would be roaring. Okay. Well, we see that. We see apocalyptic weather, earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, massive typhoons and monsoon rains and cyclones and hurricanes and tornadoes and all these flooding. We've seen tons of flooding with these rain bombs. Yet, with it's flooding in one area and dry droughts like in the West Coast and the wildfires in California for like the last 10 years. You're out there in California, it's been crazy. And you have the Colorado River running dry. We have the Mississippi right now running dry. We have the Euphrates River, and the Bible says when it's running dry, you're in the end days. And right now it's the lowest it's ever been. So there's a lot of apocalyptic signs, wars, rumors of wars, some of those things. So really, and when I get asked this sometimes, so, where are we? It's like, there's no one thing you could say, well, because of that, we're here's how close we are. There's like 50 things I could do that with that are all supposed to happen in the end days. If all 50 are happening, that should be some solid proof that we've entered into what we call the last days, which could be 50 years, 50 months, 50 weeks, 50 days, 50 minutes. I can't answer the question, but you're in the team picture. Okay.
Because we just had that earthquake today in San Jose out here.
Yeah, you did. And again, there hasn't been an earthquake that hard. Are you in the California Bay? Are you in the Bay Area?
No, thankfully, but I could feel it here. I could feel it over here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, here it is. That was the strongest earthquake they've had in the Bay Area, probably in the last 20 years or so. Very powerful, 5.1. There were several aftershocks. And, we have these volcanoes. Right now, we have the largest volcano in the world, which is in Hawaii, that is rumbling. And it hasn't erupted in 38 years. And the reason that's significant is it has averaged every 5 years. So all of a sudden it goes 38 years. So here's the ticking time bombs. San Andreas fault line hasn't erupted in 80 some years. Way overdue. This volcano in Hawaii, the what's called the Cascadia subduction zone up there around Seattle and up in that area. Last massive earthquake was 1700. Okay, it's 300 years overdue. The New Madrid fault line, the last big quake was 1812, so it's been 210 years. Yellowstone National Park, that underground volcano. There's ticking time bombs everywhere around the world that all of which could cause catastrophic events on a biblical scale. And then we've got the heavens. Okay, the sun is so volatile right now. It's got solar flares flying off of it, CMEs and plasma storms. We got all this pressure hitting the earth, putting pressure on our electrical grid, which also could cause it. Also, by the sun being volatile, causes earthquakes and volcanoes also. So you have meteorites and asteroids, outrageous amounts of them going by the earth. We're going to get hit. So if you look at from the heavens, the earth, and how humanity treats itself, it says, how we said that, man will, because iniquity abound, the love of many will wax cold. There'll be 5 in the house, 3 against 2, 2 against 3, wars, rumors of wars, all these things. So if you just take a step back and look at all of the indicators, they all say we're living in these end times, whatever that period of time is. God's no hurry. We have our little short lifespan, 70, 80 years, but God is no hurry. But he told us these are the things to watch for when you get toward the end. And we certainly have them all in play now. big time.
Including sickness. I mean, like these viruses that are going around, or these alleged viruses that are going around.
Exactly. Pestilence, diseases, plagues, pandemics. These are all, again, signs of the end time. And, we went through the COVID thing, but also, we've had major problems with Ebola about 4 or 5 years ago there. And we're dealing with other viruses that are breaking out. We're having bubonic plague coming back. Where polio's trying to resurface. It's just like when you think you got them all beat, then here they all start coming again. So it's a very interesting time, but it's not a time. It's not doom and gloom. I want to say that it's not doom and gloom because it's just indicators that we're coming to the end of the age, but we're not to have the spirit of fear, but of love and power and a sound mind. We're just blessed to be happen to be alive at this stage of humanity. I consider it a blessing, really, to be a part of this phase. So
absolutely. So now that we're in the beginnings of all this, where is it going to? How is it going to go? I mean, obviously the apocalypse is coming. I've read Revelations. I can tell you, as a young person, and I read Revelations when I was like 15. Okay. It gave me nightmares.
Well, yeah, I'm writing a book right now called Revelation 9/11. Okay, it's going to be coming out. So I got 3 publishers, and we're negotiating. I don't know which one's going to publish, but the book primarily talks about, if you read the Bible, the book of Revelation, chapter 9, verse 11. It says Apollyon comes out of the bottomless pit. He's the king of the bottomless pit, and he releases all these demons that look like scorpions. And then he turns to the river Euphrates, and he lets the 4 fallen devils or fallen angels loose that cause a World War III, kills a third of the world. So I was reading this one day, and the Lord spoke to me and said, write a book. This is about to happen. So I started on the book. It was last year, way before Vladimir Putin decided to invade Ukraine. And now we have all this talk every day about Armageddon between the president and the world leaders. And so I'm hoping that doesn't happen. But to be honest with you, because I was so impressed to write this book and such an urgency to get it out, I really am concerned that may be the next big milestone that hits the earth is, a nuclear detonation or 2. And that's a game changer. Since 1945, when we dropped the 2 atom bombs on Japan, the world has lived in fear. Let's not ever go there again.
Right. Okay?
But cooler heads have prevailed up until now. Now we've got 2 world leaders threatening every other day, using the term Armageddon as if it's going to, you almost think that it could happen tonight. We could wake up in the morning and hear that 2 cities have been annihilated by thermonuclear blast, and that, and it wouldn't shock me. I would say, here we go. It's on. It's on. Apollyon has been released. Here we go. And when he comes loose, he turns everything loose, upside down. Think about this. He's been bound all this time, waiting to be released. So yeah, that give you nightmares. That would give anybody nightmares. And then I always say to myself, to the Lord, why do you, after a while, why do you grab the devil and put him in and lock him up in prison for 1,000 years? Then you let him out for a little season. I'm like, why let the guy out? You've already got him. Let's put it into it. But so yeah, Revelation, if you look at it from a natural standpoint, that your whole existence just depends on living on this planet alone, then it can be dreadful. It can be a little scary. I know that. But if you put it in a big picture and say, well, this isn't the final stage of our existence. There is life after death. There is definitely life after death.
Mhm.
So let's not go quietly into the night here. Let's realize that we're a living soul. We will live on, and let's recognize it. Take advantage. Let's do good while the time we're on the earth right now, and prepare for the next world to come.
Do you think that the Antichrist is already here?
I do. I've been asked that before, and yes, I believe he's alive. I don't. I really believe he's alive. I believe that he may not even know he's going to be the Antichrist. I have a feeling that the Antichrist, there's several candidates that are
Mhm.
being groomed that could all be the world leader, who then will get encompassed, will get possessed, if you will, with Lucifer himself. He's
Mhm.
called the son of perdition in the book of Second Thessalonians chapter 2. The
Mhm.
only other person ever was called the son of perdition or the son of hell was Judas Iscariot, and he betrayed Jesus.
Mhm.
And then the only one other next one will be the one, the Antichrist or the beast himself. And when Jesus chose Judas to be a disciple, Judas followed along, did everything was in same with everybody. But on the day of the Last Supper, Jesus said to Judas, who had already been talking to the priest, had already been cutting a deal. He said, Jesus said, the one that dips his hand in the sop when I do, that's the one. And Jesus was putting his hand in the sop, and so was Judas. And Jesus said to him, what you are going to do, go do it now. And it says in the scripture, and Satan entered into him.
Wow.
Right then, Satan, in other words, he got possessed, became the
Mhm.
son of perdition, and was able to betray Christ with a kiss. I believe that the Antichrist is just in a very similar fashion, is being groomed and is being selected and going to be chosen. And at some point, Satan enters into him, and he becomes that end time, if you will, the betrayer of Christ. One more, the Antichrist would be certainly a betrayer of Christ. So I believe he's alive. I do. I think he's probably in his 30s right now.
Mhm.
Okay. Um, and if I live long enough, I may be around to see this thing. So yeah, I do believe he's alive.
When we talk about that, we talk about him being groomed. I think of those Omen movies. When Damien was
Yeah,
born, and
yeah,
you feel sorry for Damien in a lot of ways because he has no clue what his destiny is
right. And in
until
some ways, you're
it's like,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that there's that movie, the concept of that movie has some
Mhm.
similarities to
Mhm.
how the Antichrist is being chosen, groomed. Um, if you study the Bible talks about this beast kingdom. Okay, it's a one world government. It's a global conglomerate of
Mhm.
nations, and it has a leader and a false prophet with him. So there's a spiritual aspect, who helps convince people that we need to let go of all of our religions and just embrace the religion of the beast kingdom. Okay, whatever that may be.
Mhm.
And um, he, if you read the playbook of the Illuminati, the New World Order of the Illuminati, they wanted the Illuminati said they wanted to create a one world government and split or divide the world into 10 sections. Okay, 10 sectors. Well, in the book of Revelation, it says that this beast will have 10 kings who report to the Antichrist,
Mhm.
which is, it's like reading the Illuminati playbook when you read the book of Revelation. So I had a dream not long ago. It was about 3 years ago. I had a dream that I saw these people all in this ballroom. There might have been 400 or 500 people there. And I was up in a balcony and I was looking from behind them. And I seen a man was probably, he was, had dark hair. He was white.
Mhm.
He was thin, and he was kind of in the back of the room, but he was working his way through the crowd, trying to get to the front. As he went, I couldn't see his face. I could see his silhouette. I could see him. He was wearing a blue blazer, and he was working his way. And as he went, he would turn periodically and see someone and make eye contact and point to him like, I see you. Okay, I see you. And he did this several times till he got to the very front. And then I realized who he was. This must be him. This is the Antichrist. And I woke up from the dream. Of course, I didn't know who, I don't know who this man is. Although I've had my eyes open, I've been watching, and there's 2 or 3 guys on the world scene that look a lot like this guy. Okay. From behind, same statues, same height. So I keep a close eye on them. Okay. One's a president. One was a major advisor to a president. There's another guy that is a very wealthy billionaire. So there's 3 guys I'm watching close. Doesn't mean they're any of the 3, but I do think that the Damien, if you look at from the movie,
right,
he was born to be the Antichrist. I think that really the Antichrist is just like Judas. I think he's really born for that destiny. Now, what God does with them after they're done, I don't know. I'm not gonna say, but I'm not sure. But definitely, there's an individual who's destined to fill this role.
Doesn't that keep a balance though? Like, earth-wise. Remember growing up, your mother said, "Well, you got an angel on one shoulder and the devil's on the other shoulder."
Yeah.
Doesn't it? I mean, if there's no balance in the world between good and evil, then
yeah, there has to be a balance. You're exactly right. Everything God made, He made so it would have a balance, a yin and a yang, basically. Good and evil, light and darkness. And there's the disciples were chosen. John the Baptist was born to be the forerunner of Christ. I mean, he had this was his destiny. There was no question. He was born for that purpose, much like Judas was apparently born for his purpose. If you are God and you can do what you want to do, then you can make people to do what you can select people who you want to fill the roles.
right.
It's quite interesting. It's like a huge chess game being played out on the world stage. We get choices. The only good thing I like about what God has done is He allows us to have choices. He lets us choose which path we want to take. He doesn't force us. We get to choose. So that way we can't blame anyone else. Whether things work out or don't, we know we had a choice. And that proves His sovereignty. But He allows Satan to have power to kind of counter His power, right?
Right.
And we have good and evil. We have light and darkness. We have, all these different counterbalances. Even the entire solar system has, we've got a twin star. We have to have one, or the whole universe would just float away. Something keeps everything, whether it's Jupiter or maybe there's Planet X out there, a star.
Right.
But there has to be a balance. So God created everything to be a balance and put it all in motion. He's in no hurry, and He lets us determine our own destiny.
So why let that balance kind of shift to the Antichrist then? If not working well? Is it not working well right now? Because of the stuff that's going on, with people.
God could easily have just said, "We're not going to have this. I'm just going to make all of my people on the earth, Adam and Eve, and I won't even put a tree of knowledge of good and evil out there. I'll just give the tree of life, and they're going to live happy forever." But God already had a confrontation with Lucifer in heaven before He ever made man. Lucifer wanted to be like God. He wanted to really. He did an uprising, had to be cast out. So then God does His great experiment that He wanted to do. He created all this, and then Satan immediately says, "Okay, so I couldn't take you up there, but I'll destroy what you got going on here." And God says, "Okay, you want to play that game? We'll play that game. But I promise you, there will be people of my creation who will follow me and not you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there'll be some that will follow you. I'll give you that. But there's some that will not. So let's get it on. You want to get on with it? Let's get on with it. So that's basically, and man fell in the garden, and we finally needed a savior. Christ comes and redeems us from our sins, and we can choose to go that path, or we can choose not to. Again, God's not going to force us to do what he's going to let us make the decision. And he don't beat us up if we, if we're stumbling along. He's like, okay, you're still my son, you're still my daughter. I love you. I'm going to try to show you. I'm going to pick you back up. I'm going to give you chance after chance. I'm going to really look, I want you to make it. You're just, and I always say that to people. You can't just, you won't, if you try, you will succeed. If you just try. To miss heaven, you would have to absolutely rebelliously hang a left turn, go down a dark road, and just willingly fall off the cliff. It's sort of like this. If you were driving down the highway right now on I-5, let's say in California, and there was a bridge up there ahead, and there was these detour signs saying detour, bridge out, 10 miles. You just kept going past the orange barrels and, 3 miles, bridge out. Finally, you go past it all, and there's this final sign. There's big roadblocks and stop, and you just blast through it. I mean, that's about what you have to do. You'd have to blow past every good person that reached out to you, every good song you heard on the radio, every prayer you ever had from your grandmother, you'd have to blow past all the signs, really. So I think there's people got ample opportunities, and I think God's pretty merciful with his grace.
Got a question in the chat room here. I'm going to put it up on screen. Don't get mad, Jennifer. So you can see it. There we go. Okay.
All right.
But Judas and the Antichrist don't have choices. Good question.
They didn't. But neither did John the Baptist and Jesus Christ. So we had 2 and 2. So we have this scenario where God says, okay, I'm going to set up mine. You set up yours. It's going to play out on a world stage. Now, what God does with Judas and how he handles the Antichrist and Judas, you know what? The Bible tells us that Lucifer gets cast into the lake of fire, and it even does tell us that the Antichrist goes there as well. I wonder why it is what it is. How come he set it up the way it is? But that's a great observation. It is the truth. They didn't have choices. They were chosen for these assignments. Why God wanted to do it that way, I can't answer that. That's really been a mystical question.
Here's a question now. When you talk about Lucifer and the Antichrist, see, people right away think that the Antichrist is Lucifer.
But it's not.
Okay.
No, but Lucifer enters into, he just like Judas, he entered in. So his spirit enters in. Okay. Yeah, but no, they are actually individuals. And who knows the path of the Antichrist, how he got to where he gets? What choices does he make? I honestly believe that there's several candidates, and they are making the choices and getting themselves in position that could be the one that's chosen. So I don't think they just got drafted off. I think there's a part of this is they kept going down the wrong path, pursuing the power, just like, I mean, I've talked to entertainers. Okay. I've talked to people who've in the entertainment industry, music industry, athletes. And one guy told me, he said, look, it came down to, I wanted to get a record deal, and it came down to, I was good at what I do, but man, there was 50 people that was as good as I was. Who's going to actually get chosen for a record deal? One of the things I found out was I was introduced, he said, to the occult. I was introduced to the occult. And when I was invited in, and when I got in, then they welcomed me into it. They baby stepped me through it. But finally there come a day when it got real serious. And they said, look, if you will just make this covenant with us and with Satan, your future will be incredible. He said, I actually made a decision to choose it. And then he was signed, and then all of a sudden it exploded. And but he was on the inside, but now he had to participate. He had to constantly keep participating in these rituals that was damning his soul, and he knew it was. And then finally he cried out to God, and he said, look, I don't want to go this path. I don't want to be in this. Can I be saved? Can I still have a chance? And according to him, he found that grace. He found that, but he did get out of that entire industry too. He said, I couldn't stay there. And when they saw I turned to Christ, they didn't want me. Okay, they didn't want me no more. So
well, that was my next question. I mean, if there's 2 or 3 or 4 people being groomed to be the Antichrist and they don't get chosen, would these people be able to go back to God's side?
Maybe.
You think?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. They might take a second or third tier role. They might take an associate role. I mean, I don't know. Again, every individual, I believe, is going to get these choices. Keep getting a chance to make, and God keeps giving you second chances. It's like he don't just, he's not like us. We give up on people.
Right.
Somebody offends you enough, you say, look, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Okay. Well, God kind of says, man, I don't like what you're doing to me. And that's, you're going to reap what you sow. But guess what? If you reach out to me again, I'm still going to love you. I'm going to give you another chance. God is the God of second and third chances. I believe that. Yeah.
Well, it is kind of frightening in a lot of ways because people want to move to a younger president.
Yep.
And if it's like you're saying that, and that's the other thing too, is it's always, even with Nostradamus and those guys, they always say that World War III is going to start, and it's going to be some young ruler or some young president that gets everybody involved in this. And it's kind of funny the way things are playing out now, because people, the younger people do want a younger president coming into office.
Yes. And they probably will, and that probably will be who they choose. And it's very possible. You notice our country, we go from older leaders to young ones. We had the John F. Kennedy, we had the Barack Obama, so we too. And other nations do the same thing. So you're right. There will be a cry. We've got a lot of elderly, older leaders right now. Things are a mess. Economy, all kinds of things are a mess. Globally, hyperinflation, the world hunger. There's a lot of things that are not working right. And the people are going to get restless, and they are restless. They're going to get very frustrated, and they're going to rise up, and they're going to grab a new leader. And it will probably be a young, vibrant leader who has different ideals, and the world will embrace that. What do you got to lose? It's going to happen. And so it would not shock me at all. I do think the Antichrist is in his early 30s, maybe about now, and that probably could end up in power. I don't know, anytime between the next year or two and maybe 10 years. Very easy. We could be in this next 10-year decade of seeing that happen. There's so many other things that are going on that are pointing to this being the end times. So many, unbelievable, that wouldn't shock me. It really wouldn't.
Well, I mean, because the stories are that this person, the Antichrist, is going to be so charismatic that people will flock to him and follow him.
Absolutely. And they'll even build an image to him, and he will solve insuperable problems. He will solve problems that no one thought could even be solved. And he'll put new systems in. He will be brilliant, and he will, for a period of time, he will even bring peace. I kind of think he comes in after a war, after a major war, maybe after a world war. He comes in to save the day, no doubt about that. Maybe he brings an end to the war. He brings an end to poverty, or to misery of the economy. You always are going to have scales of very rich and very poor. That's always going to be. It's just, but
Right.
he could bring peace and prosperity to the globe. And for a period of time, he's absolutely the savior of the world, the king of the world. I expect that to happen, and
Now,
that makes him very attractive, very, very impressive.
right, right, absolutely. Now, when Jesus returns, how are we going to know? Here we've got this other guy and that's the whole point of all this. I know is to be able to tell which one is which. And the people are going to choose. But will there be sign? I mean, are we going to know?
Yeah, we're going to know when Christ returns because he's
Okay.
going to make a triumphant return. He's going to come with thousands of the saints from heaven. He will come magnificently. And according to the book of Zechariah, he stands on the Mount of Olives and he splits it in half with a huge earthquake. And he defeats the armies that have been attacking the city of Jerusalem. And he becomes the king of the world from Jerusalem, and that will be his headquarters. And he will bring great healing to the land, put an end to a lot of the chaos, and destroy, I'm sure, the Antichrist at that point. So he will make a triumphant return, but not everybody's going to be ready to embrace him. Many are going to fall with the Antichrist because they've already cast their lot with him, but there'll be a lot of people who will still have been in that valley of decision, who's still not sure what to do, still waiting, and they'll embrace Christ. Absolutely.
I find this fascinating because, like I said in the beginning, there are signs right now, like you say, that we're in the beginnings of all this. And
Yes.
how long did the Bible forecast how long this was going to take, or not?
No, it doesn't. I mean, now, you've probably heard of the 7-year tribulation period.
Right.
Now, that's a little different. That's a different period. That's when really the Antichrist is in power.
Okay.
Then there's a 7-year process where he rules the world for about 3.5 years, and then these two witnesses show up, and they're preaching and they're telling everybody that Christ is just about around the corner. Don't believe this guy. Jesus will be here any day now. And they send plagues on the earth, and everybody tries to assassinate these guys, and there's this major issue. That's and it takes place a 7-year period. But before we get to the 7-year period, there's events that are happening right now that are pointing to setting this up. Lots of them, and they are all in play right now. From the red heifers that just arrived in Jerusalem, to the talk of rebuilding the third temple, to the talk of a peace agreement where they part the land and the Palestinians get their own state, to an economic great reset to change the economy, to new technology where the mark of the beast could be implemented. All of that is on the table right now. It really is. So it's called the beginning of sorrows in Matthew 24, verse 8. For these are the beginning of sorrows. And if you read the list of things that's happening at that period, they're happening right now. So I believe we're in the beginning of sorrows. Now, how long does that last before the 7-year tribulation? I don't know. Is it 5 years? Is it 25 years? We don't get a timeline. We just get a sign line. So I always tell people there isn't a timeline. It's a sign line. Read the signs. God doesn't give us the timeline. He gives us the signs, because they asked Jesus, what are the signs of your coming and the end of the world? And he just goes right down the list. Matthew 24, he just goes right down the list. And so I call it the sign lines. And they're definitely in play. So I think we're in the beginning of sorrows. And that's closing in on the mark of the beast, or the 7-year tribulation period with the Antichrist in charge.
And what's going to make it really fast? What we're doing right now, this kind of thing right now, social media. It's gonna, it will spread like wildfire, and before anybody knows it, it's so far ahead you can't stop it.
When it says in Revelation, there's these two witnesses who are in the streets of Jerusalem, and they're preaching and saying, "Don't believe this Antichrist guy. Don't believe this guy." the Messiah is coming. Because of social media. When I was a kid, I read these, and I'd say, it says they will get killed after a while. They get killed. And it says that their bodies lay in the streets of Jerusalem for 3.5 days, and then the Lord raises them from the dead and raptures those two in front of the whole world. The whole world sees it. We have to understand, when I was a kid, we had 3 channels on black and white television. You had, okay? The thought of the whole world seeing something at the same time wasn't really hardly conceivable. Today, oh man, there'll be YouTube videos flying everywhere. There will be live streaming. Everything that happens will be seen. So yes, the whole world will see this. Now I can see that, As a matter of fact, a lot of the things in Revelation, and I can see why it would work that way, because there's a scripture that says, men will run to and fro and knowledge will increase. Well, it's real simple. We're running to and fro right now on the internet. Knowledge is increasing at exponential speed. And then you throw in AI technology. It's unbelievable how we've increased. So yeah, it's going to be simple for this to now be seen. Everybody's got one of these in their hand. What's that? I see I got my green screen working. Okay. So they're going to be watching. I mean, instantaneously. Yeah, I can just disappear it there if I
just make it go away.
Yeah, I can do it. Man, I'll give you an example. I was talking to a guy who I have the Apple. What is this? What is the latest one? 13?
14.
Okay. 14. All right, so I got an Apple 14. All right. I was talking to a man who was talking about the technology, how every time one of these Apple phones come out, the cameras on them are just unbelievable, and the technology and the speed. And he said to me, Paul, he said, I personally know the guys at Apple. I personally know the guys that are in the research and development, the R&D departments that work at Apple. And he said, I was joking around with them, and I said, so guys, so what's going to be, 10 years from now, what's Apple, what kind of phone, what will the phone look like? And these guys were there with him, and they said, we're not allowed to tell you that. We're just going to tell you this. We're already on iPhone 30.
Wow.
We're not going to break it out. We're going to break them out one at a time, because each time the company makes billions of dollars. But he said, iPhone 30. He goes, yeah. And they said, well, what is iPhone 30? They said to him, well, put it this way. You don't have to carry it around with you, but it's always there. Okay? It's clear as glass. You don't have to carry it around with you, but it's always there. And whatever you're watching or whoever you're talking to, they stand up in front of you, and you stand up in front of them virtually. Okay. So, and it's got a lot more other features that we're not going to tell you anymore. Just know this. We're so far out there advanced than what the general public realizes. So the technologies, for instance, NASA or some of these space agencies, they're 50 years ahead of us. So we're a lot further down the road than we even realize technologically. They can implement anything they want to implement whenever they want to. We got splicing and cloning and genetic modification, not only of food and plants and trees, but humans. We're so far advanced than I would have never thought. Look, I grew up, like I said, 3 channels, black and white television. I was in high school my senior year when the electric typewriter came out. Okay. I'm 60 years old, and I lived in a day when there wasn't electric typewriters. The first calculators by Texas Instrument came out my freshman year, and it would have cost $250 back then to have one. Okay. Now you can get a calculator that can do anything and everything for what, $1 or $2 at the dollar store.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. And so in my short lifetime, there's been this insane, we hear of the Industrial Revolution. Well,
right.
The technical revolution is outrageously faster. So we are racing to the end of time. We
Mhm.
are literally 1,000 miles an hour headed toward the end of days. So my show, The Coming Apocalypse, I'm not joking around. We're getting very, very close. And so it's fascinating. You just want to make sure, I think everybody out there you want to make sure you are where you should be with God and your fellow man. You really
Mhm.
want to make sure that. You don't want to have any regrets. You don't want to have any baggage. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
you don't have to be perfect.
To add to your technology story, my
Yep.
father told me a story about going to Disneyland back in the 60s,
Okay.
early 70s, and AT&T.
Yep.
They went into the Pavilion of Tomorrow, and they actually had a working version of Skype
Wow.
back then
Wow.
because he was
Yeah.
able to talk. The big thing was is they were able to
Somebody
talk.
just like we're doing right now.
Yeah, they were able to talk from Disneyland to people at Walt Disney World.
And see each other.
Yeah, see each other.
Yeah. And that
And
was in
that
the
was back
early 70s,
early
late
70s.
60s.
Yeah, that AT&T had that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
So yeah.
again, yes, there's so much farther. So imagine how far they are advanced.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think they'll
So
be I think actually, when you watch Star Trek, the old Star Trek movies, Beam Me Up, Scotty. I think we probably have that technology right now. I just got a feeling
mhm,
that we're already there. They're not ready to break that out and let us know that
mhm,
yet. But I just got a feeling that they've already figured out how to transport humans by breaking down the molecular makeup of us and put us back. I really think we're already there. They haven't
they
revealed
just
that.
haven't. Yeah, they haven't told us yet. So once this thing starts to roll, I mean, starting now, obviously. What I'm not going to say what do we have to look forward to, but what other signs? Well, you know what I mean. What
Yeah, I know.
other signs are there?
What
Should we
else
see?
is going to fall apart and go bad, right?
Right. I'm just sort of saying, what do we look forward to that's going to fall apart?
Well, you're going to see some serious changes in social norms. Meat will go away. Okay. We will not be allowed to eat meat. They're on. Okay. We'll be eating modified food, synthetic food. Um, all of that's because of the green initiative.
Hmm.
Uh, there will be a total change in social makeup. And I mean by that is the family structure or relationships, and how this whole thing is structured now is going to absolutely be twisted and turned totally upside down and be something we've never even conceived.
Hmm.
So I look for that to happen. I don't think that's a good thing. I also don't think it's a good thing I can't get a cheeseburger. Okay, but maybe I can deal with that. Um,
I'll miss McDonald's. I'll tell you.
I will miss, yeah, right. Um, and also I think that unfortunately, it was sad, but when the Nazis were in charge, or when they
Hmm.
were doing their extermination and experimentation on the humans, they also had a belief that if you were not um, important to society or you couldn't contribute, you should be eliminated.
Hmm.
Okay, so you're going to see that. You think cancel culture, this is nothing compared to what the real cancel culture is going to be. I
Hmm.
don't know if you've ever seen the movie or the TV series The Man in the High Castle.
Hmm.
Okay, but you notice how they would, the little boy, he gets some kind of disease and he can't walk, so boom, he has to be eliminated. The elderly, they got to go. Okay, um, that mentality is actually part of today's beginning cancel culture.
Hmm.
The cancel culture says if you're not doing it the way we think it should be done, you should be canceled. You should be got rid of. You're a burden on society. Well, unfortunately, that mentality will accelerate while everything else is accelerating. Okay,
Right.
all be happening at the same time, and so there. when I say the breakdown of social norms, I mean it will not be the world we're living in today. Compassion, forgiveness. AI is calling the shots. The computer has no emotion. The beast gets an image made to him that can speak and make decisions on who lives and who dies. Revelation 13. Okay. Well, when you read that, well, how can this image speak and tell people who lives or dies? Because this image is probably an AI and we are going to, us humans are going to trust AI more than we trust ourselves. Whatever AI says is good for us is what we should do. Matter of fact, I'll give you an example.
Sure.
If people are wondering, like, oh, I wonder what I should do. I got a situation right now. I wonder what I should do. I'll ask Google. We don't ask God. We ask Google because Google knows better than God, right? I'm not even sure there is a God, but I know there's a Google, and I know Google's got all the answers and can within moment tell me the answer. If I don't know how to put something together, I just go to YouTube and I ask for a video to show me how to do it, right?
Right.
We will literally we are going to evolve to where every decision we make is made for us through AI. So we don't think for ourselves no more, nor do we need to ask anyone else. This is going to reshape our culture and our way of thinking. So there's some good things about this that I can find out stuff, but I'm not going to put my entire soul on the balance here. But people will. They will. And they will think it's the right thing to do. And if you don't do that, there's something wrong with you, So critical thinking will go out the window. And AI will be managing us. They will literally manage us. And we'll surrender. We'll give our will to it.
Well, that's the thing, because right now I think they are preparing us with this AI stuff, little by little. Disney with their shows and all this, and you're seeing more and more of this technology, so that by the time it fully comes out, it's just like a normal thing. It's just you don't even give it a second thought.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a social experiment going on. We're being reconditioned, and that reconditioning is changing how we think and how we approach situations. We don't approach them the same way. We don't value the elderly population's wisdom and history. We don't listen to it. Okay. We feel like that's an old era. They don't really know what's best for me. And so where cultures for thousands of years paid so much respect and wisdom to the elderly and what the elders told them, what the tribal leaders told them, right?
Right.
Where that's gone. That's completely going to be gone. So the social norms are going to take on a total different look. And I'm not saying that's for the good. I have a bad feeling. I'm not saying that everything is bad about it, but I'm just saying that overall, we're being driven toward trusting the beast. Okay. Little by little, we're surrendering our will to the system. We're like frogs boiling in water.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So when Christ does come back, and like you say, very triumphantly to battle the beast.
Yep.
Will there be? I mean, because rapture is going to happen, right?
Right.
Rapture is the end song. So what happens during that time then?
Yeah. Okay. So Christ sets up his kingdom 1,000 years, and it says in the Bible that those nations that follow Christ, or the peoples who follow Christ, will send representatives every year to Jerusalem to keep the Feast of Tabernacles and to worship the King. And those nations who do this will be blessed with rain and prosperity. And those who rebel and don't, they'll get no rain. So that tells me that there's people on the earth, even with Christ here, who still won't go follow him. Okay? Because God doesn't do away with your self-will. He's still going to let you, even with their champion dead, the Antichrist, even with him defeated, there's still going to be a remnant who say, no, you know what? I'm not, I don't like this Jesus thing. I don't like this whole thing. We had a good thing going here. I'm not into it. So there's going to be some resistance. But Christ, just like Lucifer, to be honest with you, the Bible tells us that Satan is the god of this world right now. Okay, he really is. He's the god of this world. He's been given authority. But when Christ comes, Christ will be the king of this world for 1,000 years. That means it's going to be a total different society. It's totally a change again. And, but there will be those who will resist that. Okay. And then after the 1,000 years is over, it says, then the devil is let loose for a little season, like an insurgency. And then he is completely annihilated in the final battle called Armageddon, which is actually after the millennial reign. You hear people talk about it as if it's going to happen now, but it really doesn't. It happens after, according to Revelation. So that's when Satan is and his powers and demons are completely annihilated, and that is the end. And then God makes a new heaven and a new earth with those who have followed Christ, and everyone who was raptured already, and everyone else. And it's a whole new world. And I don't think we're really going to have to worry about when we get to that point. I don't know what that world's going to be like. I just think that the controversy gets taken away. I think that the temptation and the frustration and all of it goes away. It's a paradise forever. I think we're back to the Garden of Eden mentality. It's going to last forever. So, but there's some things that's coming, and again, we don't fear it. We don't know exactly the exact timeline, but boy, it's really impressive. It's very interesting to watch how it's developing, how you can see the prophecies fulfilling themselves right before your eyes, almost on a daily basis now. And it gives me confidence and faith that that book is really real, man. Every historical point and every prophecy is happening. There's no other book on the world like that. There's nothing even close to that. So I think I'm going to write it out and make sure I'm on the right side.
I think I will too.
It's a great decision.
If I'm still alive at that point. But
we're still alive.
It's always good to be on. It's always good to be on the side of light, and not be on that dark side.
Stay on the light. That's right. Stay in the light. That's all you got to do.
Stay in the light. Stay in the light. Just stay in that light.
That's right.
Reverend Pastor, it has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
It was an honor to be on the show. I really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed talking with you. And what's coming up for you? You got this book that you've written?
Yeah, my book's coming out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, my book's coming out. I hope it'll be out by early spring. Let's hope maybe February, March at the latest. It better hurry, or World War III is going to happen before I get it out there.
There you go.
It's because it's really a book to really warn people or to help show people the events that are going on right now. What I do is I talk about the event in the Bible, but I also give you all what's happening right now. So the book keeps getting written because things are happening, but it will put it all in perspective for folks. It'll be right now, a right now book and then current world events with a vision for what the future looks like, So the book's coming out. I'm doing television shows out there and interviews and doing my own shows and staying pretty busy, traveling, speaking, and but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying life. I'm here for the ride, really.
Fantastic. And where can people find you, sir?
They go to my website at paulbegleyprophecy.com. Okay, www.paulbegleyprophecy.com. You can find out all my books and DVDs and music I sing and stuff. And just also watch me almost every day. Just go to my YouTube channel. Okay, Paul Begley. You'll find me. And I've got, I don't know, 15,000 videos out there or something like that. So they can watch. And I usually do 1 to 4 videos every day with current events, things that are happening, So yeah, you can check it out, my YouTube channel.
Sounds good. All right, Paul, and maybe if you get if your book gets released, we'll get you back on here.
Okay, sure will.
About that. Okay. All right, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. You have a good evening this evening.
Good.
Bye-bye. Bye. All right. Well, like he says, it's better to be on the light and then the light than the dark, and that's where I intend to be. So hopefully some of you guys do too. Tomorrow's show, shifting gears again. We've been shifting gears all over the place this weekend. Let me sit up. My leg keeps sinking. Pretty soon I'm going to be like under the table doing this stuff. Tomorrow, Geraldine Orozco is going to be with us. Geraldine has a unique story in that she has been involved in the alien hybridization program for all her whole life. And according to her, now I'm just saying, according to her, remember the show's for entertainment, she has given birth to 24 hybrids that the aliens have taken away from her and raised aboard ship. But she works with other people that have been abducted by aliens and had the same things happen. So she helps to get them through this because, of course, it would be very traumatizing for people. So she's going to be with us tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. She's also a medium who works out of San Francisco and does healing and stuff, for people. But yeah, so she'll be here tomorrow at 6:30. Now, if you're watching from Facebook and you like this show, because it's something we don't usually do as Bible prophecy, but I thought it was kind of cool. Please hit that like button and hit that follow button. If you're watching from YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. And again, check out my Instagram page at ghosttogal.com. Check out our TikTok page at California Haunts, all lowercase, because we have some comedic stuff on there. It's a little hodgepodge of stuff. It's not like this at all. Even though I do stupid things on here. But yeah, so check those pages out. And if you need to get a hold of us for any reason, again, you can check us out at CaliforniaHauntsRadio.com. Or our regular webpage, which will be up in 2 weeks. We'll have our regular webpage for California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team back up. And that's a .org. Okay. If you want to see a replay of this, you don't want to go to YouTube, feel free to either check us out on Facebook or go to the website itself, and it will be there posted tomorrow. Okay. Anyway, if you like the show, share it with 5 people. If you hated the show, share it with 5 of your enemies. We are equal opportunity here, California Haunts Radio. We just, we're trying to get the word out. I got all my friends passing out business cards and all that. Got to market this bad boy. And I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And I want to thank all my podcast fans out there. And you guys have been really great. And just keep it going because we're booked up through almost the end of November. So we are getting more and more guests and more great people to talk to, like the pastor. All right. Anyway, if you see that, I'm getting ahead of myself. You see that ticker at the bottom? Well, I haven't done that in a while, and that's because I got to pay bills like everybody else, and this is what I do, and so I have to pay internet bills and electric bills and everything like everybody else. And if you could find it in your heart to help me out, that'd be great at PayPal.me at California Haunts. Or if you're uncomfortable with PayPal, you can do that at Venmo and just type in California Haunts. And like I said, everything goes back in to support the show. Computer breaks, I have to buy a new computer, it's for computer supplies, mics, everything to keep the show on the air. So I really appreciate it. We're on our 3rd year on this show. I didn't think we make it this far because we've been going off donations for 3 years. So, I mean, thank you, and it's all because of you guys. All right, well, I'm going to let you go, and I want you guys to have a great evening and enjoy your evening. And I'll give you the pastor's website one more time so you can check it out. He's got a membership thing going on there, but he's got all kinds of information on there about the apocalypse and his book, like he says about his books and everything else. So check it out, okay? So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. And that's Paul Begley prophecy.org. And it's all lowercase. Okay. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night.